Hi, everyone. It's Bill here with my friend and colleague Amy Schmitz at The Ohio State University Moritz College of Law, recording another session on mediation. That's mediation with the A and the I switched, where we focus on the intersection of mediation and artificial intelligence. And we are delighted to have our friend and colleague here at OSU today with us, Rebecca Fordon. She's the Assistant Director for Innovation, Research, and Instruction at the Moritz Law Library. And every time I talk to Rebecca or listen to Rebecca, it's not that I learn one thing, it's that I learn many, many things, and I come away with a number of new ideas. So we're really excited to have her here today. She leads the strategic delivery of the library's reference and research services and really has a emerging focus on AI, and is just doing a bang up job. She teaches about legal research, legal tech, and generative AI, and she's on the board of the Free Law Project and one of the creators of AILawLibrarians.com. So we're really excited to have her here with us today, and I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
Yeah, so among her many roles she plays at Ohio State, she also actually is a chief mentor for Justice Tech, the project I direct. And she's on the board of the Free Law Project, as mentioned earlier. What's really amazing is she knows about tools that are lower cost, that are more available for access to justice. And so today's episode, we really want to focus on what tools are out there to help mediators who are working in that space, who are community mediators, who are working with less resources. What can we do for them? What tools are out there for those mediators? So, Rebecca, first of all, I'm so happy to have you with us. And maybe if you could kick it off with telling us more about the Free Law Project.
Yeah, happy to. So Free Law Project is a nonprofit, and we have a number of different products that people might have heard of. Court Listener and Recap are probably the two biggest that people have heard of. So Court Listener, we take opinions from the web, court opinions from the web, and we also have backfilled with Harvard's amazing scanning project. So we have the large majority, I would say like 95% or so of like appellate law, federal and state. And what's really cool is we make it available to the public for free to search, but then we also make it available to builders to create products with. So people have built all kinds of amazing stuff on top of Free Law Project data. Including there's a ton of like new legal research companies out there, a lot of them using our data. And historically, they've done that like through a API that we make available. So just like a data connection. But more recently, we have created a MCP, Model Context Protocol, I think it stands for. So this is something that you can use within Claude or within I'm not sure if we have it up yet, but we're working on connections for ChatGPT as well. And so you can actually rate in your Claude session, ask a question about case law, and it'll answer it from our data, which is really neat. One of our other projects is Recap, and so the MCP is also connected to Recap. Recap is Pacer backwards, so it is reclaiming Pacer for the public. So Pacer is our federal court record system. It's 10 cents a page, just went up. It's now going to be 13 cents a page, apparently, says the AO. So what Pacer does is you can install a browser extension. So when you access Pacer from your computer and you pay your 10 cents a page for a document, it adds it to Recap's database, and then the next person looking for that document gets it for free. And so by doing that, we've built up just like a huge collection of Pacer documents. And we also have other methods for pulling in data, like we monitor the court's feeds, and so we can get information about every single case that is filed, as well as some basic docket information. So there's a lot that we can get for free. So we pull all that in, and then we merge that with the things that people pay for, and then get added to our database. So it's actually really amazing for like anything in the news. Probably someone has bought it, and you can find it on Recap. And so the MCP pulls in that too, and I love using it for just little questions that I have about the docket that are otherwise so time intensive to find. Like I don't know how much both of you have spent time you've spent like navigating federal dockets, but they're like such a pain to do.
Yeah.
So now I can just ask, like, hey, I think there might have been a summary judgment filed in this case, and has the order come out yet, or something like that, and it can just answer it.
Oh,
Right.
really? Has it been pretty accurate on that? Because that is
Yeah,
really hard. I know what you mean, because that's even happened to me in a dispute resolution process where you really want to know, did the order come out? And you can get that. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And so you could also build things on top of that. Like say we also have as part of recap, we have a alert system. So you can set up an alert for a particular case and say like notify me when something gets filed in this case. But you could also hook it up to your if you're using the MCP, you could use Claude and say like, hey, set up like a routine you do every week where you go check this case and see if they've specifically responded to or issued an order on my summary judgment motion. So it could be like more custom even than an alert. So that's kind of a cool thing. Like you can really do anything that you can do in Claude, you can do now with the MCP.
And for those of us who are more novices at AI, can you give me an analogy to an MCP? So, for example, is this something like a gem on Google's AI where you assign it to do tasks every once in a while, or is the MCP something that is a plugin that you plug into Claude and it's focusing more on legal databases? As you described earlier in the information that's in the pacer backwards. What can you say a little bit more about that for those of us who are more Luddites out here?
Yeah, it's more like a plugin, or I think Claude calls them connectors. So you might have connected Claude to like your Google Drive or your Gmail, and so you can also connect it to Court Listener. And so it's just a data connection, and so it gives the data tools to Claude and says, "Hey, Claude, you've got this cool database available to you, and here's how you use it." And then Claude can use it whenever it sees fit, or you can just direct it, like, "Hey, I want you to use the Court Listener MCP for this question." And so there's actually one more project I wanted to let you know about, a pre-law project that I think is relevant to your listeners. Is called Justice Initiative. And so what they do is there's a few projects under it. But one of them that I'm really excited about is we are partnering with a number of courts on a litigant portal. So it's basically the concept for it is that people who are filing with the court often have never filed a case before. Like they don't know what to do. They don't know the steps to follow or the documents to file, and maybe even when they're in the case, they don't know what steps come next. So the litigant portal is kind of designed for a self-represented litigant, and it kind of walks them through the process. And it is there's some document automation built in, so guides them through like how to fill out forms. There's AI assisted navigation, so helps them kind of understand the processes and they can ask questions. And so we just issued, I think last year or beginning of this year, a what do you call it? Like a RFP. So we solicited interest from courts and got a number of them interested. So now we're starting on that and starting actually getting it to courts. So that I think is really exciting. And I wonder if maybe at some point there would be room or interest for mediation like within that portal. I don't know if they've thought about that yet, but that's something I'm just thinking about as I'm talking to you.
Oh, I love that idea because so often self-represented litigants in small claim style cases and housing cases are referred to mediation. Sometimes it's mandated, sometimes it's it's voluntary mediation, sometimes it's voluntold, but so often cases are referred to mediation. And so having a mediation user guide or mediation user component to that product would be a really interesting and creative idea that would help a lot of folks. I wonder, as you're talking about that product, and you put out your RFP, and you're now or the project's now beginning to work with courts across the country. How specialized does it get? I can imagine Franklin County Municipal Court here in Columbus is a lot different than Vinton County Municipal Court, which is in a very rural area of the state, or Los Angeles, court in Los Angeles, or Cook County. How does the AI account for that? How does the platform and the project think through some of the nuance between what's happening in different courts across the country, and some of the nuance that happens in each courtroom within each court across the country as well?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And I think is one of the things that they are grappling with is how much to generalize and how much to specialize within a court. But I think their idea for it is they're trying to build something that then they could take to other courts. So develop it with court partners, and then there is some generalizable component that other courts could look to and just kind of bring it in and build off of it in their own system.
It's really great. And I bet you all are trying to get into unified court systems before you get into non-unified court systems to help figure out some of those specializations specific.
It would definitely be a dream come true for a lot of projects, right?
Yeah.
That's so great. So what do you recommend? So a lot of times we also try to be very helpful kind of step one, right? For those that really haven't used AI at all. And a lot of times when I talk to community mediators, for example, that don't have they might be volunteers, right? They might not have these additional resources, and they often have self-represented litigants. What would you recommend for your step one? What would be sort of the appetizer to sort of get somebody started so that they can start feeling more comfortable using these tools?
Claude, with with a court listener MCP connector is really pretty amazing for just learning how AI works. And
if I have one quick follow up before how would you do the MCP connector? Because that might sound a little too jargony or sort of for a lot of people.
Can you do a demo for us?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, so Rebecca, thank you for sharing your screen and showing us how to do some of this. So right now I see that you are in Claude, logged into your institutional Claude account.
No, we don't have an institutional account. It's my
personal Claude account. And you're logging into personal Claude account, and then you are going to show us how to incorporate some of the court listener free law information into Claude. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. So the way it works is it is a connector. So if you click the little plus button, you can get to your connectors and you can add one or you can manage them. So the way I would add it, I already have it added, but if I wanted to add it, I would just hit add connector here, and then you can browse them, and then I can search here for court listener, and it comes right up. And there's some other great legal connectors in here too. Another good pretty inexpensive one is Describe, and I think you've had them on before. So if you are a subscriber, you can add that here too. So anyway, that's how you would do it. And you would, if you didn't have it, you would hit a plus button, and that's how you would add it. I already have it, so it has this gear button, and it tells me more about it, and it tells me what it does. So that is how you would connect it. And then once I'm in here, and by the way, if I wasn't sure how to do that, I would just ask it here, hey, I've heard about a connector for court listener. How can I get court listener into Claude? And it would tell you. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm a mediator and want to use court listener with Claude. What are some things I can do? And I bet it will give me some ideas. So it's using not just court listener, it is going to it's going to have everything available already within Claude, but it is going to be able to look at the tools I have available in Court Listener specifically since I have it connected. And so it's taking its time on this.
No? It asked for coffee on the front page. Did you pour coffee on your computer before you started?
No, maybe that would have helped it go faster. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so yeah, it's telling me it can pull opinions, get you up to date quickly, look up a judge's published opinions and background, see how it's handled comparable issues. I've actually done some like really like basic litigation analysis stuff using Claude and Court Listener, like does this judge have other cases on this topic or things like that. So let's see.
I suppose something similar you could ask is, I'm in Michigan and I'm considering the venue in a automotive supply case or something like that. And should I go in the Eastern District or Western District? Juries in Detroit are going to be different than juries in Grand Rapids, I presume. So maybe we'll have some answers there.
I like to look at what it's thinking. So it's like, oh, what I could do is look in Court Listener and pull some data on how these have been handled. Okay, so now I think it's looked in. It's made a few calls to Court Listener. So it's starting with Eastern District, and it's going to look at Western District. And so like what you'll notice is that like I have to do very little here. Like it's thinking through this process and like making some decisions along the way, and you can kind of see what's happening. And so it knows the tool it has available to it, and it just makes a decision about whether and how it will search that.
That's really interesting. This analysis is looking a bit more like analysis you might get from Westlaw or Nexus that is more detailed and focused on briefs and cases and a legal analysis than what you get from traditional Claude without the Court Listener, because it doesn't have as clear of a pathway to the legal opinions and the legal data sets.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you don't, if you're asking about something that's not been written about a lot. If you're asking about like, hey, the latest Supreme Court case, you're probably going to get great information from Claude because there's tons of stuff on the web about it. But yeah, this kind of really specific question, I'm sure some people have written about this, but probably, not a lot have written about this specific venue question, right? Okay, so it's.
But what I think is important for the listeners and people watching the demo is to understand that when you're pulling the data directly from Court Listener, at least you are focused on court data and legal data, as opposed to simply using Gemini or ChatGPT for something like this. Certainly, it would be much more accurate in terms of the legal data.
Okay, now you asked it to use recap connectors, and these are the cases that have been downloaded from Pacer that have been scanned into the free public database. And that's what you're asking it to connect to now. Is that right?
Yep, exactly. So as I was reading this, it looked like it was looking at opinions mostly.
Yep.
And so that's kind of helpful, but I'd also like to see the actual court, what have people filed as opposed to just what has there been an opinion about.
So, and I had assumed that the result would be narrower, but now what you're showing us, we're going to get filings as well. So some of those cases might have settled,
right,
due to a good mediator or something like that. Some of those cases might have settled, but we can know what the claim was about, and perhaps we get a tiny bit of information about what's in the settlement if that's listed in Pacer as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Pacer makes available like the, what do they call it? Nature of suit code. So nature of suit code might be something that it's looking at here. Pacer also makes available statutory claims, like lists the statutes that have been filed under. So those might be available. So in addition to searching like keywords and whatever filings are in the system, it can use that to kind of like narrow down the dispute. So
Yeah, so instead of looking up in my key number in my paper book, that's what Recap's doing for us right now.
all right, so it came back with some stuff. So it found some examples of some specific kind of disputes here. Uh, and it's telling me what it found it from. Yeah, docket metadata rather than read-in complaints. So yeah, looking at nature of suit codes and cause codes. So that's kind of what I was saying, like the cause of action is in there. And so it was just looking, it looks like it was just looking at Eastern District. So you could repeat it for Western District. And then it's offering if it wants me to pull complaints or anything from that. So
I appreciate that it's flagging things that we need to do further research on.
Oh yeah,
You can pull
I love that.
the background from because
Right.
this is just a starting point, right? For all legal research out there, whether you're a mediator using this information to help you consider how to test assumptions or consider the context of the case you're mediating, or whether you're a party, this is just a starting point.
This has been really helpful. I think this will get people started. I really hope that, mediators who are listening, realize that there's resources out there that you don't have to have the fancy Harvey or co-counsel. You actually have access to tools like this through projects like Free Law. So it's really cool that you're working on that, Rebecca. And then the way you connect it up and showing people how to do it, I think is really, really helpful. And I hope people do give it a try, play with it.
Absolutely, Rebecca. This was really exciting, and thanks for showing us all these great tools. I know that you have a plethora of other ideas in AI, but I'm wondering where a lot of folks that we've had on have said that mediators, because we're neutral third parties who connect with the participants in mediation, and we connect with them based on legal issues and emotional issues. We connect with them about negotiations. Said that, look, AI is going to be a tool for mediators to help do some assumption testing, to get background research, et cetera. But probably many folks in the mediation community think that, at least in the foreseeable future, meaning maybe decades, mediators will still be people in many cases because they have the opportunity to connect on a human level. And I wonder, do you feel the same way? Or when we talk to you in a year or two, will you be talking to robots of Bill and Amy, who have taken over our mediation column here at AAA?
I think I do feel the same way, and part of it is because I think there is that having a human to me demonstrates like someone cares about this process, and I feel like that's really important to both judicial resolutions and mediation, that the person feels like heard. And I'm not sure if they'll feel heard in that way by an AI, that like someone cares about this problem and is trying to help me solve it. Like that's something that a computer can't do because it's not a person. It's like computer can't care about you, right? So even though I've seen a lot of like I've seen studies that people I don't know, feel like it, like end up asking a lot of pretty personal questions to AI. Like there's been studies in the medical profession that they actually feel like better served by AI than their own doctors, as far as questions that they're able to ask. So I could see there being like a lot of room for that kind of I don't know, kind of like helping people get answers to questions that they might not want to ask a human. And that maybe that kind of connection is something that AI can do, but I just think there's something human about resolving disputes that is going to be difficult to replace with AI.
Yeah. I think that is a perfect way to end it, because I fully agree. But thank you so much. This has been incredibly helpful. Really, really thank you. Great food for thought. Can't wait to talk to you in a year and find out new tools and new things on the horizon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Rebecca. See you soon.